Manzoor Pashteen is the face of a growing protest movement in Pakistan, one daring to challenge the country's powerful military. And earlier this week, officials arrested him on conspiracy and sedition charges. Pashteen has accused security forces of widespread abuse against the ethnic Pashtun minority under the pretext of its war on terror. His group has accused the military of extrajudicial killings and thousands of disappearances. He says that as the army has battled Islamist militants, it has unfairly targeted Pashtuns in the country's northwest. In just the 2 years of his activism, Pashteen has seen his movement grow across the country. The military has imposed a strict media blackout on the group, but their peaceful protests still draw tens of thousands of people. I'm joined in the studio by Umer Ali of DW's social media service and also DW correspondent Shadzeb Jalani. Shadzeb, let's start with you. Who is Manzoor Pashteen and why is his message gaining ground?
Melissa, most people in Pakistan had never heard of Manzoor Pashteen until about 2 years ago. It's a fascinating story how he's now suddenly a household name in Pakistan. He's somebody who was born in the tribal region of South Waziristan. It's a border region along Afghanistan. He's the son of a school teacher. He was studying veterinary science in school. And he grew up during the so-called war on terror. He witnessed a lot of bombing and killings and brutality around him. And eventually his own family was forced to move out of the tribal areas. So he has seen all this firsthand. And when he holds rallies across Pakistan where tens of thousands of young people come, he speaks from his heart, from his personal experience. And that's why his message resonates with a lot of people. The Pakistani army, however, sees him as a foreign-funded agent. They call him a traitor. They see him as somebody who's acting on behalf of external forces, namely Afghanistan.
Now, there are many opposition groups. Why do you think the military is particularly threatened by him?
Well, many people who criticize the military or its alleged abuses in Balochistan province, in Pakistan's other areas, they come from different ethnic groups. The reason Manzoor Pashteen is seen as a bigger threat is because he belongs to a Pashtun ethnic identity. Now, the Pakistani army is mostly comprised of people from Punjab. Soldiers are mainly recruited from the biggest province of Punjab, and the second biggest ethnic group are the Pashtuns. And there's a fear that Manzoor Pashteen's message is resonating with Pashtun officers and soldiers within the armed forces. So it becomes a case of sort of divided loyalties. And so the Pakistani army wants to ensure that this doesn't carry on, and they will do whatever they can to stop him.
Well, Shadzeb was just talking about the message being spread. Umer, I'm curious, if there is a media blackout against reporting on this movement, how is the message spreading?
Yeah, it is true indeed that there has been a media blackout and you can't really cover or talk about PTM, the movement by Manzoor Pashteen on local media unless it is taking cues from the military and sort of, I would say, repeating the talking points of the establishment. But as you said, they have built a huge following both on the ground and on social media. And I think it's partly due to their use of social media apps like Twitter and Facebook. I've been following them for the last 2 years, ever since they began. And they have been using social media to call for protests across Pakistan and across the world. And they have been live streaming their, their protests. And at times, their protests have been watched by thousands of people.
What have you been seeing over the last few days since his arrest?
So it's very interesting, and I'll show you this one tweet by a local journalist in Karachi who was covering a PTM protest. He wrote that smartphone has become a prime tool of rights activists in Pakistan to make their voice being heard. Over 30 activists are live streaming the protest, and this was a protest of about a few hundred people.
We talk about censorship. Has anyone commented about censorship and the fact that this movement isn't being reported on?
Yeah, I think unfortunately for the large part, a lot of TV channels are not even trying to cover them anymore. But there is this one TV presenter who explained why the last segment of her TV program was dropped earlier this week. She wrote on Twitter saying, "Because I reported on Mohsen Dawar's arrest. Mohsen is one of the parliamentarians linked with PTM." And she wrote that she asked on what charges was he arrested, but it was censored. And she wrote, "Welcome to Censoristan, where people must suffer in silence."
Well, up till now, the state has seemed unsure of how to deal with Manzoor Pashteen. He emphasizes peaceful demonstration and upholding the Constitution. Here's an excerpt from a speech he gave last year in Lahore.
To the people who call us traitors, the Constitution of Pakistan shows who is a real traitor. Article 19 in Pakistan's Constitution says that the people have freedom of speech. Article 6 of Pakistan's Constitution clearly says anyone who sabotages the Constitution is a traitor. How many times have these generals sabotaged this Constitution?
Shatib, so is he correctly quoting the Constitution there? And if so, do the charges of hate speech and sedition against him hold any water?
Well, most people don't think so. Basically, he's calling for accountability of powerful people in the Pakistani army, people who are allegedly involved in ordering killings and abductions and committing torture and abuses. And it has been seen before in Pakistan that anyone, whether they are politicians, writers, journalists, activists, when they call for that accountability, they are in turn accused of being a traitor, and they are then put in jail.
DW correspondent Shatib Jilani and DW social media editor Umer Ali, thanks to you both.